Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're focusing squarely on you, the concrete and soil technicians working hard all across British Columbia. Whether you're navigating a bustling high-rise project right in downtown Vancouver, or you're out running compaction tests on a remote highway, the environment you operate in, it's constantly shifting. So this explainer is all about mastering Module 7, General Hazards. My goal today is pretty simple. I want to empower you to navigate these ever-changing site hazards with total confidence so that at the end of every single shift, you and your crew return home safely. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's look at the agenda. Today, we are covering 5 main pillars: general conditions and housekeeping, essential site communication, navigating restricted areas, preventing fatal fall hazards, and finally, managing environmental factors.
Section 1, General Conditions and Housekeeping.
Now, I know housekeeping kind of sounds like a chore you do on a Sunday morning, right? But on a construction site, these everyday basics are literally the foundation of working safely around heavy equipment. So, I want you to answer this honestly in your head. True or false? Do you only need to report large, hazardous spills? Think about what you've been told on sites before.
Well, the answer is a resounding false. Every single spill matters, and you've got to report them immediately to your supervisor. Here's the thing, even a tiny oil leak from a compactor or a small chemical spill might seem totally insignificant, but it creates an immediate slip hazard for your crew. And even more importantly, especially here in BC, those chemicals can easily run off into fish-bearing streams and our drinking water, creating absolutely devastating, long-lasting environmental damage. So if you see a spill, stop the work, check the safety data sheet, and report it. No exceptions.
Good housekeeping really boils down to taking control of your environment. When we keep a site clean, we actually see 4 major benefits. Yes, for sure there are fewer tripping hazards, which is absolutely crucial when you're lugging around heavy concrete sample cylinders. But it also means it's way easier to find your tools, you have vastly better mobility moving around the site, and, believe it or not, production actually improves. A clean site means you can get your testing done faster, more efficiently, and without, twisting an ankle on a random piece of scrap lumber.
Section 2, Essential Site Communication Methods. The reality is, knowing the hazards is completely useless if you don't actually know how to communicate them, or for that matter, receive warnings about them. That is exactly where the toolbox talk, or tailgate meeting, comes in. This is a non-negotiable 10 to 15 minute safety briefing right at the start of your shift. And hey, this isn't just a morning chat over coffee. This is where you learn about immediate, dynamic risks. This is where you find out a massive concrete pump truck is arriving at 10 a.m. sharp, or maybe that a new crew of subcontractors is working right above your testing zone. If you aren't paying close attention here, you're basically walking onto the site blind.
Now, there's a vital difference between written information and behavioral codes. Safety boards are the physical location where you find official regulations, inspection reports, and your first aid attendant list. Site rules, on the other hand, are the non-negotiable behavioral codes that every single worker must follow. We're talking about things like being completely fit for duty, a strict zero-tolerance policy for drugs and alcohol, and absolute bans on horseplay or vandalism. Basically, the board is what you read. The rules are how you act.
Section 3, Navigating Restricted Work Areas.
What's really fascinating here is how we use color to visualize invisible hazards through control zones. In our industry, color means everything. Yellow, caution tape means you can proceed, but you've got to do so with extreme caution. But red, danger tape, that means stop. Do not proceed under any circumstances. As a technician, this is a literal life-saving distinction. If you're working near a high-pressure concrete pump line, or you're using a nuclear gauge for soil compaction testing, you are creating an invisible hazard zone. Respect the red tape and make sure others respect yours.
But hey, tape isn't the only marker out there. You'll also encounter barricades, particularly around excavations, which I know you soil techs see all the time. So here's the golden rule. Never, ever move a barricade without explicit permission. If a barricade is in your way during a compaction test, you must inform a supervisor. Do not take it upon yourself to shift it. Also, pay close attention to warning signs. They aren't suggestions. If a sign dictates extra mandatory PPE, like a respirator or a specialized hearing protection for that specific zone, you put it on, period.
Section 4, Preventing Fatal Fall Hazards. We're now entering the most sobering topic of the explainer. Falls are almost entirely preventable, but when protocols fail, the results are tragic. Let's walk through a real WorkSafe BC case study step by step. It started with an unguarded floor opening left exposed on the 4th floor of a renovation project. Next, a carpenter, needing to reach the ceiling, used a ladder that was way too short, forcing him to stand dangerously on the top cap. The ladder began to shake, he lost his balance, and he fell through that unguarded floor opening, plunging 29 feet down to the 2nd floor. And to make a terrible situation even worse, his rescue was severely delayed because the site was actually missing proper access stairs. This was a catastrophic cascade of failures by both the general contractor and the worker.
Actually, just before this fall happened, the principal contractor walked right by the unguarded hole and said to a young apprentice, "It's a long way down there." And then he just walked away. He acknowledged the hazard, but he didn't fix it. Let this chilling quote be a reminder to all of us. Seeing a hazard and simply commenting on it is not enough. If you see a hole, you have a duty to report it and ensure it gets covered up immediately.
So, to build our defenses against those exact kinds of tragedies, we rely on the hierarchy of fall protection. Step 1 is always covers. A cover must be strong enough to hold weight, it has to be physically nailed down and spray painted with the word "hole." Covers are always the best choice because they completely eliminate the hazard. Now, step 2, if a cover just isn't possible, is guardrails. These must be 40 to 44 inches high with a secure midrail. And step 3, as an absolute last resort, is personal fall protection. If you're exposed to a drop of 10 feet or more, a harness is legally required. No way around it.
Section 5. Managing environmental factors.
You know, the most pervasive hazards are often the everyday ones. The weather, the noise, the chemicals, stuff that just wears you down over time if you aren't vigilant. And one of the most deceptive is heat stress. This is a super dangerous condition where your body loses the ability to cool itself by sweating. Now, you might be thinking, come on, it's British Columbia. How hot does it really get? But the thick humidity in places like North Vancouver during a summer pour, that can make heat stress sneak up on you really fast. If you experience dizziness, heavy sweating, or muscle cramps, you've got to stop work immediately and find the first aid attendant. Your body temperature rising unchecked can literally be fatal.
Overall, you have 4 main environmental stressors to prepare for out there. For outdoor elements, you absolutely need insulated layers and heavy rain gear for that legendary wet BC cold, plus sunscreen for UV exposure. And yes, you need sunscreen even when it's pouring rain. For noise, especially when you're operating soil compactors or standing next to a revving concrete truck, earplugs are mandatory to prevent permanent hearing loss. For chemicals, be highly aware that wet cement powder can cause severe chemical burns to your skin, so always check the safety sheets. And lastly, if you are working over water, like on a bridge deck pour, you must be wearing a life jacket or a personal flotation device.
To navigate all of this effectively, you really need to speak the language of safety. So let's commit these essential acronyms to memory right now. PFD stands for Personal Flotation Device. SDS is your safety data sheet. Knowing exactly where these are kept in the site trailer is absolutely crucial for treating a sudden chemical exposure. And WHMIS is the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, which is the standard for classifying and labeling all those hazards.
We've covered a tremendous amount of ground today. You now know the everyday hazards, the visual boundaries that protect you, and the protocols that prevent tragedy. So, I'll leave you with this one question. Are you ready to take this knowledge onto the site? Are you ready to be the empowered technician who doesn't just walk past a hazard, but actually ensures that you and everyone around you goes home safely today? Thanks so much for your focused attention on this explainer. Now, go apply these rules out there and stay safe.